next up, let's do Alien Soldier, which was nominated by @Gourd Captain, GOURDCAPTAIN. For those of you who don't know how to spell the word captain, who's a longtime Twitter follower and friend. Thanks, Gourd Captain. I think he did some other ones that we've already ranked in earlier iterations of this show. So Alien Soldier, which was released for actually it shouldn't say Genesis, right? Because it was also on the Sega channel.
Yes.
It was only officially released for the Mega Drive in Europe and Japan, right?
Yep.
Which is amazingly stupid, like, because it's
yeah. I'm sorry, Europe, but for this and Terranigma, you jerks.
The two games they got that we never got. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can understand it was a late Mega Drive game, right?
I think it came out before Vector Man 2, which was one of the later ones. So I don't know why we didn't get it.
Alien was 95 and Vector Man 2 was 96. So
I can understand why we would get Vector Man 2 and not Alien Soldier, just because Vector Man 2 is a sequel to another game that people would know. Alien Soldier is an original property that was never used before or since.
I probably also shouldn't talk down Europe because they get more screwed on games than
they used to anyway. I don't know. I'm not sure that's true anymore. But
wait, when did Light Crusader come out, or when did that game come out? Light Crusader, because that was another game by Treasure that actually got a U.S. release. I'm pretty sure that was
but it wasn't an action. Like, I think they were more likely to release Light Crusader just because there weren't enough RPG-esque games on the Genesis.
Yeah.
They wanted to appeal to like those D&D kids, But for like Alien Soldier, like, it's for people who really loved Gunstar Heroes, and let's face it, like, at the time nobody appreciated or liked or bought Gunstar Heroes. So, I mean, let me get this out of the way, because I played Alien Soldier last night for probably the longest I've ever played it. I did not play it when it was new because I lived in the United States and I didn't have a Sega Channel modem thingy, because who had that? I feel like the Sega Channel could probably have a reunion and it would fit like a small like high school gymnasium, like everybody was on it. Yeah, I played Golden Axe 3. Like it just wasn't a widely used thing. But I played it after that. I think it was on one of the Sega Genesis collections, right?
I can't remember if it was or wasn't.
It was like on the treasure box that came out.
Like with the Sonic PS2. Whatever collection thing.
Oh, the Sonic Mega Collection? Yeah, maybe.
I think it was on that, right?
It's on Steam. I mean, I think I have the Steam version of it.
Pretty sure it came out to the Wii Virtual Console at the very
Yeah, it did. That was the first thing it hit, and then... Yep, I have Alien Soldier. Yeah, it's on Steam if you want it, $3.
So we got it eventually. Hurrah.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I can't remember the first time I played it, but it was like, several years ago, but not when it first came out. So my opinion on it was kind of shit. I did not have a high opinion of the game. Not that I didn't think it was a technically impressive game, because it is, and not that I didn't think it was a well-made game, because it is. It was more because it's a run and gun game, but it's really just like a glorified boss rush of a game. It has.
You're not wrong, but
it's basically come on with the parts that are not boss battles are like 4 screens worth of
typically.
Space.
One way of looking at it. Oh, Bob.
You go ahead.
Oh, okay. One way of looking at Alien Soldier is in a more modern context. Nowadays, you'd almost call it a set-piece game, because each boss fight is this unique set piece. It's so drastically different from the last boss, but you still have to make use of the mechanics in the game.
True, but isn't that kind of the nature of video game bosses in the 16-bit era? Like, they were always like that.
Not to that degree. Like, when I think of, like, the only other game I can think of that has bosses as big and as interesting and elaborate as Alien Soldier is Treasure's other games for the system. Dynamite Heady, Gunstar Heroes.
Contra Hardcore, even more so.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those run and gun games had those kinds of changes in the bosses.
Right, they had really interesting boss design. I
think Hardcore
Rocket Knight Adventures is another one that has really good bosses too.
Yeah,
I feel like in the 16-bit era, that's when like the golden age of boss fights.
Yeah, it really
I feel
is.
Like it's the NES era. Like, bosses were usually more of a chore than anything, because they were just super powerful enemies who weren't really that much bigger than you were most of the time, and they were just absorbed a lot of damage, and that was about it. But like once you got to the even in the original Contra and Super C and stuff, like it was kind of like each boss was basically the same as the last boss. But once you got to the 16-bit era, I feel like boss battles became like a real canvas for the best of the best to like, game designers to come up with cool, kind of unique, interesting set piece battles.
Here's my question real quick.
Yeah.
How many other games like this are a thing? I mean, I'd say Contra Shattered Shoulder. I'm sorry, Shattered Soldier qualifies for a more modern example, and there's the upcoming Cuphead. Definitely important.
Yeah, there's not games that are exactly like Alien Soldier. There are some games, I think, more modern games that are built around boss fights. I'm drawing a blank on those.
Well, a lot of games have boss rush modes that are very, very similar. But this is, it's a very forward-thinking game in that it took Gunstar Heroes and said, everybody loves the boss fights and the mini boss fights in Gunstar Heroes. What if we made a game that was all boss fights? And my problem with the game, especially the first time I played it, was that the player character is way too big. He's really beautiful. It's a cool design character. The alien soldier is like some kind of Birdman type thing. Looks like Falco's like badass older cousin or something. But the character is so big on the screen, and a running gun game is about dodging bullets. Like, I don't like that design choice. In Gunstar Heroes, your character was actually kind of small on the screen. It made a little bit more sense. In this game, the character's really big.
That's just it, though. They designed the game around the limits of the player's design, because you have at least two moves that can completely negate any bullets that are fired at you. You can counter or you can teleport. Right. It's almost like a platinum game. I believe Bob's almost called it like a proto-platinum game in a lot of ways.
I could see that almost.
It's like, 80% run and gun, and I'd argue 20% fighting game almost.
Yeah, it's got that personality to it, like a fighting game. It's almost like they looked at like Street Fighter and said, "Hey, we can do that in our typical run and gun style."
And it's fair. So it has, I don't know, I think the hard mode might do away with some of these features, but if you do, because it's funny because it only has super hard and super easy. Those are its two difficulty.
Yeah, and super easy is still tough enough. I mean, you can just play that and not feel any shame.
But it has this cool feature where you can pause the game, and then you press left or right on the D-pad, and you can slow down the game.
Yes. I find that actually almost mandatory to take on what is the hardest boss by and far. But I'm not sure if I should spoil that.
No, don't spoil it, because everybody should play Alien Soldier. It's one of the must-play games. I don't know whether I call this game like really a classic so much as it is just like one of those. It's a cult classic. It's like not a game for everybody, but it is a game that people who really like this type of game, like running guns, and they like boss battles and boss rushes, you have to play Alien Soldier.
If I may interconnect with Treasure, I'd say it's a little less classic than Gunstar Heroes.
Yeah, definitely.
But more classic than Dynamite Headdy. And I really like Dynamite Headdy.
Yeah, I think that's true. Neither of those games have been nominated yet, so we can't really consider them.
Gotcha. Yeah, I keep doing that.
But, I mean, honestly, though, I will say this. Like, playing Alien Soldier literally just last night and really digging into it and trying to... It rewards effort. So I think part of the reason why I didn't like it much the first time I played it, or the first couple times I played it, is because I was playing it on an emulator, and and because it was just another ROM in the ROM pile. Like, it was like, this game is like, the character's huge, and I'm supposed to be dodging bullets. This is stupid. Like, I know you got the dash move and the counter move, but I'm like, I don't have time for this. It's just too hard. It's too crazy.
Doesn't it basically tell you all the controls when you start the game?
It does. It does. This is entirely my fault. Like, I'm not criticizing the game here. I'm criticizing myself. But because I was approaching it as just another thing I could try out for a couple minutes, I didn't treat it fairly. I didn't consider it fairly. And when I played it again, I'm like, I'm just going to pretend like I put this cartridge into the machine, and this is the only game I have, the only new game I'm going to get for the next 6 months. If I play it with that attitude, will I like it more? And I did. And the thing is it is fair. Like, it has a password save system, right?
Yep. Wait.
And basically the stages are like 2 screens with some dudes who jump out at you, and they're really easy to kill, and then a boss battle. And then after each boss battle,
health and anything.
Yeah, that's basically it. So, and even if you die, on a or you lose a lot of health in the at a boss battle and win, and then you don't get your health refill, you'll die, and you could just continue and just do it again. Maybe in the hard mode it doesn't let you do that, but
you have limited continues in both modes. I think I forget if super hard limits that. I forget how it works exactly.
I feel like judging a game should be judged by its easy or normal mode. This game doesn't have a normal mode, so it should be judged by its easy mode, because the hard mode in this is definitely made for people who have already beat the easy mode.
The hard mode actually has limited continues to it.
Yeah, but that's fair because you've already played through it on the easy mode. They assumed you did.
Plus, you have passwords, so I guess it's kind of moot. I find that kind of weird when a game has password limited continues, but that's a tangent. But yeah, I really like bosses in video games, and I lament that they almost don't exist in modern game design nowadays.
I mean, that's the frustrating thing. Is like when you see bosses in games now, they're almost always change the gameplay mechanics. It's always like a set piece to a ridiculous extent. Like take the Batman Arkham games, right? Which are great games. Everybody loves those games.
Here's my thing. I actually was thinking about this earlier today. The boss fights in Arkham City were great, which is why I was so angry about Night. They dropped the ball so hard on them.
Yeah.
Like, all the bosses in a city always have these unique ideas to them. Like, not to go off topic, I'm just saying that they were great.
That's fair, because my opinion is not like the only opinion that exists, and there are a lot of people who love boss fights that are different every single time. I don't like boss fights in general, because I feel like it's like kind of... I mean, I'm not saying I like them in like a gee whiz, that's neat, kind of mode, but I don't like them I'm not saying I don't like them, but they're never my favorite part of any game that has them, except for maybe Mega Man. But even Mega Man, it's like the boss fight is kind of like once you've gotten through the level, it's usually not that much of a thrill. So for me anyway.
I can understand that. I mean, I personally love bosses when they fit, but there are lots of games that are great and do well without any bosses.
I mean, and
to
it's
put
a
boss fight in would just feel really forced.
And what the good thing about boss fights is when they're tough but fair, there's a real rewarding sense of like, I accomplished something. I figured out the pattern. I can do this. And once you learn it, you can do it every single time without dying. It's no problem. And Alien Soldier is one of those games. So like, although this is not my favorite kind of game, I have to give it props for being really good at what it does. So to rank it, I don't really know where to put it. I feel like you guys should probably take the lead on the...
Well, that's just the thing. I absolutely love the game. I love Treasure in general. And if I had to personally rank it, I would probably definitely put it above Super Mario Land.
I was thinking the same thing. I was wondering where does it go with Super Mario Land, and
it's definitely in that tier at least.
I really like.
I would put it above Super Mario Land.
I like Super Mario Land 2 more. If I were to put something more actiony in, I would say that Alien Soldier fits neatly in between Kicks and Super Mario Land. Would I place it even higher than Kicks? I don't know.
Well, you have to consider where it sits in the industry too. Like so many games do boss battles wrong. This is one of those examples of a game that does it right, like Xerxes says. But on the other hand, it's kind of working in the same. I don't know if the word's milieu or not. That Treasure had already been working in. They already had all these other games with great boss battles and such. This was like
it is kind of Treasure's swan song to the Mega Drive. Which
it even says that in the intro. It says this is the game to set the 68K on fire.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
This is a weird and unique and...
Oh, yeah. Its plot is completely bonkers. I forgot to...
Yeah, it's another game... I mean, I guess really this is probably not the kind of podcast to get into the plot of most games.
I should note your protagonist is named Epsilon Eagle.
But then you get like...
Yeah, it just sounds like a Mega Man X
half gets split from you, and you're actually a terrorist, but you're the reincarnation of a terrorist.
Makes no sense.
If anyone could understand the story to Alien Soldier, give my hat to you because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even try.
Please write in or tweet to us if you can break down the plot in some sort of like
I did not even
scholarly
think to look at the
analysis.
plot. I just thought
I'll
it was
be
about
honest.
like Birdman goes crazy.
That's basically it, though.
I don't think any treasure game has ever had a good story.
That's
That's
not,
their
that's
kind
not
of
their
thing.
point.
It's
yeah.
window dressing. It's just there to get to whatever weird, unique, insane settings they want to put
Like
out.
the closest one that has a story that you can follow is maybe Mischief Makers, and that story is crazy.
Oh yes, definitely.
So anyway, I don't know.
Arena's
Like,
creator is a pervert.
Aren't they all?
Anime. All right. I'm not going there.
okay, so all right, so talking like I don't know, like look, I mean, we all know Gunstar Heroes is a better game overall. We all know that Treasure really did a lot of games that I would consider to be better than Alien Soldier.
Okay.
But it's also, I mean, we were talking about what was the game we said we were talking about last time? It was kind of like it was like presaged the indie game movement that we know today. And this is one of those games that I feel like somebody could make this today and it would feel like a revelation. It would feel like, oh, somebody really took all the best things about like 16-bit games and put them into one game.
Didn't we say that about Wario Land 4?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So like Wario Land, the Wario Land series does feel like that too, where it's like somebody took like a really eccentric kind of slant on 16-bit games and just said, let's just make the 16-bit game that we would have wanted to play. But it was actually in that era, even more so than Wario Land 4. It was in that like, SNES, Mega Drive, Genesis era. It was at the tail end of it, but it's like Comic Zone in that way, where it's like one of these weird last gasps that is just so staggeringly weird and beautiful and fun but not in like a perfect craftsmanship kind of way, more of like this delivers on its promise kind of way, I don't know. I guess Bobinator, I guess you're what would you say? They're right now everybody's putting it. I haven't said anything yet, but the other two are putting it between Kicks and Super Mario Land.
I would put it above Super Mario Land. That's just me.
Okay, yeah, that's where we're placing.
So you're
it
with
too.
them. Okay, so it doesn't
Right.
matter what I think.
Hooray.
That's it. So that's officially it. So it is now the sixth best game. No, fourth. No,
Fifth.
fifth
It's
best.
in the top
okay.
5. Yeah.
I was thinking of giving a bonus point because one of the bosses is called Sniper Honey Viper.
Well, then there's
But-
Wolfgun Blood and
Go-
his horse Gallop or something like that.
Wolf Gunblood Garopa.
Well, I think
Garopa.
Garopa is the name of the horse. I think that's Gallop.
Oh,
Yeah, it's supposed to be Gallop. Yeah.
Just imagine a giant wolf man in a like bowler hat covering his eyes,
Well, it's
riding
like a
an even
cowboy hat. He's like a
bigger-
weird cowboy like thing with a chain gun arm. It's just the
Yeah,
weirdest thing.
This game just has it's almost an art piece, I want to say. It just has some really
kinda is.
impressive looking bosses in it.
Hanging up in MoMA. All right, so that's it. I mean, but I gotta say, like, just to make sure, like, it's not on the same level as Kicks.
Well, Kicks is an all-time classic that has been the template for a lot of other games, so I can't really.
Well, I would have to consider this against Treasure's other games as well. I love this game, but if I had to choose between, say, this and Gunstar Heroes, I would definitely would have rated Gunstar Heroes higher. If I had to choose
Gunstar's-
between this and Kicks, well, yeah, I would probably still choose Alien Soldier, but Kicks again is sort of a classic, and it's just so. It's just one of those sort of like. I don't know what you call those revelatory puzzle sort of games. Like, you only get so many of those, like Tetris or something. And that's one of them.
I don't know.
So I have to consider it against historical relevance as well, and Kicks is pretty high up there.
Yeah, I think Kicks beats it easily just because of what it is.
That's fair.
and then look at the games above Kicks. It's Galaga, Toe Jam and Earl, Wario Land 4. So I mean, it's not in that upper echelon, but hats off to Alien Soldier. You changed my mind after I went in thinking I was going to hate this game again, and I didn't. Like I changed my. I was wrong. I was wrong the first couple times I played it. So yeah.